Hey everybody, Jesse here for 3Prong Gaming, and in today's episode we are going to take a break from all our AI stuff and we're going to start doing some UI stuff. As you can see here, we added a list here, shows residents and the people that are residents there, and you can select them and it'll go right to them. Same thing with right here, it is a dynamic list and it'll keep up to date. Even when you're on here, it'll change as it needs to. So let's go ahead and sit back, relax, open up your editor, grab a cup of coffee, and let's get this thing going. All right, so hopefully today we can have a relatively bug-free episode. Cross our fingers for that. The last episode was a little bit brutal, although it did seem to help a couple people out having to discover those bugs. And that's fine. That's what it's all about. You know, even if usually I try to see those bugs coming, but that last episode I didn't see any of those coming, and yeah, that wasn't much fun for me. Anyways, so yeah, neighbor dog doesn't bark all day long until it's time to start recording, and now he wants to start barking. So let's try to work through that. Hopefully he doesn't annoy you guys as much as he annoys me. So there's actually something we need to go ahead and do here. As I was prepping for this video, I realized that we have a little bit of a problem. It's not that big of a problem. We just need to readjust it. But we name in our, let me see, I don't know if it's in this one or not. Let's see. Well, we got a list of variables. We actually call, whenever we have an NPC enter a residential building, we call them, we have, actually, let me open up, where is it? Building master, there it is. We have these two variables right here, residents and employees. So we call them differently depending on what building they go into, and that's going to pose a little bit of a problem for our UI. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult anyways. So what we need to do, I mean, and they're the same thing here. They're both NPC, arrays of NPCs. We just call them differently because we use them differently. We're going to leave them like that. But what we're going to do is we've actually got these functions here, get residents and get employees. What we need to do is we actually need to make a single function. We'll eliminate this get employees and get residents, and we'll have it call exactly what it is, and it's not going to matter what, because we may have another set. We may want to call this employees variable down the road or something, but we're just going to leave it like this for now as far as the name of these arrays go. We're just going to create a new function. So let's go ahead and select that. We're going to actually just call this get occupants. All right, and this is going to be the exact same setup as we have in the get residents and get employees function. We're just going to do it a little bit differently here, because remember, in the master, building master, we've got another, like our enter building and exit building. When we open those up, you can see they're just empty functions so that the lower children blueprints can inherit from them and do whatever they need from them. So let's go ahead and do this one. Has occupants. I guess I should plural that. All right, and then add another one. This will be number of occupants, and this will be an integer. And one more, and we will call this list of occupants. All right, and we will make this of type NPC blueprint reference and make that an array. Now it's going to complain right here that we need to put something in here, so let's just do make array, and it's going to clear that error out for us. If we compile, that arrow go away. There we go. All right, so we got to do that just for any list of array. Even though it's an empty one, it's not going to be a big deal because we're going to override this. So what we've got here, it grabs that variable length, checks it greater than. So we're going to set that up, but we're not going to do that in the building master. Remember, each one needs to set their own. So let's go to the residential master, which is the first child of the building master BP. And let's go ahead and in the function, select override and get occupants. All right, so let's go ahead and delete the parent get occupants right there. And we can just go ahead and hook that back up. Oh, and we need to make sure too, let's go back into the building master, click on that, and make sure that it is a pure, let's get residents, get occupants. We need to make sure that this is a pure function as well. So go ahead and select that. Go ahead and compile it so it goes through. And we're going to get the errors right here, not a big deal. So right click, let's do get, this is residential, so let's get residents. And we want the array. So select that. Let's get the length. Check to make sure that this is greater than 0. That's like what we have set up in the other ones. Okay. And then plug the length into the number of occupants and that into the list of arrays. So I'm not going to take the time to make this pretty because we got a little bit to go. Hopefully this will only be one episode, but I'm thinking this is going to end up being 2. Let's just kind of see how it goes. So compile and save it. So we got get occupants there. So now let's go ahead and go into the commercial master BP. And we're going to do the exact same thing. Open up the full blueprint editor. I'm just going to delete these because it drives me nuts. And override the function, get occupants. And it's going to be the same thing here, except for now we're going to go get, what do we call them? Employees. Yep, there we are. Get employees, the array. Get the length. Go straight into there. Pull off of this. Is it greater than 0? Plug that in right there. And I'm not going to make this pretty. Like I said, I'll come back and do this another time. Actually, I probably won't. I lie. I say I do that, and I'm not going to. So compile and save that. So now get occupants. Now the commercial master and the residential master have their own using this specific array. But now we have just one function instead of the 2 functions, get employees and get residents. Now, what we need to do, though, we can't just delete these functions because we got other places that are calling them. So right click on, we'll start with, actually start with get employees. That one's a little easier. And select the find references. All right. So now these are just the references that are within this blueprint. We need to uncheck find in current blueprint only. Select it and press enter to search again. We're going to get an indexing error. It's going to want to index. You can index if you want. I did, and there's still like 3 or something that it still didn't do. But we need to go through here and we need to find every place that get employees is being called. Now this is the name. This is the original function. If you double click that, it's just going to go to the original function. We don't need to worry about the arrays. We just need to go to any place that has the function. So if we double click that, we get the get employees function right there. So now we just need to grab our new get occupants, all right, and just plug in. All we're using from this one is the integer right there. So go ahead and plug that in. Now we can delete that and then just move on to the next one. Right here is where we call it. So again, drop in the, we just right click and do get occupant. Oh, we need to do it. We need to pull. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Get occupants. There we go. And all we check from this is the Boolean. So let's go ahead and select that. Delete the old one. Put that back in its place. And let's go back into the building master where we had our search at. And we got that one. And get employees right there. Let's check that one. And we need to get occupants. Again, this is just the Boolean, so let's go ahead and plug that one in, delete that one, and I think that's going to be it. Let's go ahead and compile and save that. Let's go back out here, and I think that's it. Was that the last one? Get employees. Nope, we still have another one right there. So pull off this, get occupants. This one, again, is the integer. Let's go ahead and plug it in there, delete it. All right, compile it and save it. Go back to the building master. Now, I believe that's it, but let's just go ahead and do the search again. Push enter, clear that out, and then get employees. Looks like it's still being called from right there. Oh, I think that's just, we double click it and it's not going anywhere, so it's been cleared out. It's just showing it for whatever reason. I don't know why it's showing it. Probably because we haven't compiled it, maybe. Building master, and let's try that one again. That's going to go there. Probably just because it's in the undo buffer. So we should be good to go. Cross our fingers here. Hopefully we don't create a bug. We did get employees. Let's just go ahead and delete that function now. Okay, you could delete it before you do what we just did, but then you're going to have compilers and you're not going to know where they're at. You're going to come back here and be like, you're going to have to search for the errors. You won't know until you play. So back in Building Master, let's do the same thing here for the residence. And actually, I'm not going to show this part because this is going to be the exact same thing. Right click on Get Residence, find reference, uncheck Find in Current Blueprint Only, select so you can highlight that, press Enter to research. And then just go through and do the exact same thing. Don't miss any of these. Remember, we want the functions here, the ones marked with the F, and go ahead and replace that one. So we can click. Actually, this is the only one we have right here. So let's just. I thought this one was the more complicated one. Otherwise, we would start with this one. So get occupants. So I guess I don't need to pause it. We just plug this in, and everything should be smooth sailing from there. Let's double check. Yep, that's the only one in there where we call that function. So that's perfect. All right, so we got that all taken care of. Now you can just go ahead and go back and retest everything. Make sure that everything seems to be working properly. I think I still have this set to 1, so they're not all going to that place, but they're all going to work and going to their residence. So let's check that real quick. Oh, because we don't have that exposed. I was going to say, where is the, let's go like this, apartment. If we had this variable exposed, we'd be able to change it. But, yeah, so we only got it set to 1. So we can set that back up to 5. But everything seemed to work good, so we got that all taken care of. Compile it and save it. All right, so what we need to do now is let's go ahead and jump into our HUDs folder. We're going to need to make some HUDs. Actually, let's go ahead and open up the building HUD first. I'm going to close down some of these tabs. We shouldn't need them. I say shouldn't, but never know. All right, so we need to create a new box to display everything. So let's go ahead and start with a vertical box. Grab the vertical box right there and drop it down on the canvas panel. All right, and then inside that vertical box, let's grab a horizontal box. Drag and drop it down into the vertical box. And in the horizontal box, we will need a text, not the text box, regular text. Drop it inside the horizontal box. And then go ahead and now we need a scroll box. Where is it? Right here, scroll box. And drop it onto the vertical box. And then inside that scroll box, we are actually, what is that? That is another vertical box. Is it that vertical box? Let's go ahead and grab another vertical box and then drag and drop it onto the scroll box right there. Now let's go ahead and rename this vertical box. Oops. Rename that to, let's call it 4 names because that's what it's going to be for. And select is a variable. All right. So grab our whole thing right here. Let's drag and drop it wherever you want it. I'm just going to position it, probably right about in here. Grab my anchor, and I'm just going to kind of anchor it about to the corner of the blue screen right there. All right. So grab our horizontal box, and let's do, not our horizontal, let me see. Grab the text. Where is that? We need to size to fit on this. Right here, vertical box. Size to content. There we go. All right, on our text, let's just go ahead and type in people because that's what's going to go in there. And let's see, I think that's it as far as the setup of this goes for right now. We're going to end up populating this list. This can be dynamic. We put a scroll box in here so that way when the list gets too big, it will just be a scroll box. We'll be able to take care of it at that point. So, all right, jump into the graph here. Now we're going to need to do some functionality, get building names. We don't need that open. We are going to need tick, so we'll leave that out here. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to need a couple branches. So drop in 2 branches. plug in that first one so we can get rid of that thing right there. All right, right click and type get is enabled. Under widget, get is enabled. This is going to make sure that the this is only going to run, since this is on tick, we don't want this to run all the time, only when the HUD itself is enabled, because remember we created at the beginning, so it's going to be alive, but we just want to make sure it's enabled and being operational. If it's not, we don't want to do anything. If it's true, run into this next branch. Okay, so now we need to take our variable here, 4 names, let's get it, and we need to get children count. Okay, this is going to give us an integer value that we can check against. So go ahead and drag off that and do not equal to. All right, so now we need to grab our building reference right here. Let's get it and do get occupants, that function that we just created right here. Grab a number of occupants and plug it into there. So now what we're doing, we're going to add child widgets to that scroll box. All right, so that's what this is doing. This is checking how many children we have in this particular vertical box right here is where we're going to add them to. It's going to check how many children blueprints it has, and it's going to compare it against the number of occupants that we have. So that means if for whatever reasons, if we're sitting there viewing the HUD for a building and then somebody comes into it or adds to it, it'll dynamically change for us. So if they're not the same, what we need to do is we need to create a new function here. Let's go ahead and call this one set name fields. Okay, real quick, let's just jump back here. This will pretty much finish off the event tick for us. Let's just go ahead and take that, drop this in, and plug it into the true. So the tick is done. So what we need to do now is we need to actually create this functionality, set name fields. Okay, so first thing we need to do is grab our 4 names right here, get it, and we need to clear any children that it might have. All right, this is just going to ensure that I ran into a problem with this a while ago, if I remember correctly, when I first did it. And by not clearing it out, it was adding names on top. It showed the same person twice. So whenever it updates, it would show the same person twice. So we need to we just need to clear out the children. It'll happen so fast when it updates that you won't even notice. All right, grab our building reference. Let's get it. Drag off of that. Get occupants. Okay, there's that. So now we need to grab our list of occupants and let's do a for each loop. Drag and drop that on up here. All right, so now we're going to cycle through all the occupants that the building has. And what we need to do now is we need to create another function, and let's call this one add name field. Okay, this is going to need an input. We'll call this one occupant, and it's going to have to be of type NPC blueprint reference right there. Okay, and just to finish that off real quick, let's jump back into that. And what did I just do? Move apart my cheat sheet right there. All right, just to finish off this function, let's grab our add name fields right there, plug it into the loop body. The occupant will end up being the array element there. And then when we're done, we're just going to return node. Okay, so this function's done right here. So let's jump into add name fields now and get this all taken care of. Pull off of here and let's do create widget. All right, we haven't created this widget yet, so let's go ahead and do that now because we're going to have to plug a bunch of stuff into this. All right, so compile it and save it. We're going to get this error here because we're not actually creating anything. Let's jump back out here into the content browser, right click and go to user interface, widget blueprint, and let's call this one, button field. All right, open that up, and in this button field, dock that right there. Now, we don't actually need a canvas panel, so select that, and let's go ahead and delete that. What we need to do is let's grab a size box. Where is it? There it is right there. drag it, put it in there. Then we're going to need a border. Grab that, put that down right there. And then on the border, we're going to need a button. Grab the button, put it on the border. And then in the button, we're going to need some text. Okay, now that's one huge ass button. What we need to do is go up here to where it says fill screen and do desired. So now it's just going to show us the desired size that we're looking for. All right, and text block, that's okay. What we need to do here in the size box, go to the minimum desired height right here. Let's enable that. The minimum amount height that we want this is to be 32 pixels. Okay, that's just going to allow us enough space. You might have to change that depending on how big you want your text and things like that. I found 32 worked pretty good for me. All right, so now we're just going to change a couple properties here on the button. So let's go into the style, open up the normal and hovered and pressed. These are the three states we're going to want to change. So normal, what we need to do is we need to lower this opacity or the alpha channel on that. Okay, on the tint section right there. And let me see, what did I do? Now I got to look at my stuff here. Style, normal, hovered. Sorry, I got to open up my cheat sheet here. All right, under normal. Yep. That's good. We do want to change this padding though. Go ahead and get rid of this padding. Just put in 0 right there for no padding. And style, let's see. Why is that still showing white? Right? Oh, because of the border right there. We need to go like this. We need to select the border. We need to clear out the brush color on this. Lower the alpha all the way down. There we go. So we just got the border back there. We kind of had to do that. I forget why I did that. Anyways, I did this a while ago. So we'll just leave it like that. So we got the border in there. That way you can put, if you want to put something behind it, a picture or something behind it, then you can go ahead and do that. So back on the button now. So we've got that. So the hovered state, I'm going to go ahead and select the tint for that. And I'm just going to make this pure red. So that way when we hover over it, it's going to be red. And then scroll down here, and on the hovered, right, or on the pressed, what we want to do is select the tint, and we're going to go red, but I'm actually going to lighten it up just a little bit right there to make it different. So that way we're over it and we could tell. All right, compile it and save it. So that's our button set up right there. So let's jump into the graph, and let's actually rename our button here real quick. Go up here and let's call this name button. It is a variable, so let's go ahead and with that selected, now let's go down here and do on clicked. So select that, and it's going to drop that in there for us. We don't need tick. All right. Now, thinking ahead, we're actually going to need, well, not thinking ahead, I already know because I ran into this problem right before I started this episode, is we're going to end up needing two variables here. All right, let's call this one building HUD, and this will be of type building HUD reference. Select that, and then this other one will be proxy HUD, because we have, remember, just like with our construction, it's different than pretty much everything else. So we're going to have to handle that. So we'll just call it, proxy HUD reference. Select that. So now we got those. Let's go ahead and add this references and then drag that one and put it in there as well. All right, now both these we need to make editable and expose them on spawn. Okay, there we go. So now pull off of here. Let's do an is valid. All right, first we need to check, is this building HUD valid? All right, if it's not, let's just go ahead and run this out here. Grab our building proxy. Let's get that one. And let's check, is this valid? Just like so. Okay, this is kind of a backwards way to do this, just because we're handling two different types of proxies or two different type of HUDs. It's just going to make things a little bit easier. So what we need to do here when it's clicked is we need to remember back here in the building HUD, we have this. Let's go to the event graph. We've got this event right here for when we close the HUD. So we can't access this event except for by hitting that button that is on the screen, the red X that we created. So we need to create a custom event. And let's just call this one, let's just call it remove HUD. Okay. Because I believe we actually already have this on the proxy HUD. So it's named remove HUD. So we'll just name it the same and then just plug it in here. So now we have an event here that we can call that's going to run this exact same stuff into here. So compile it so we have access to it. We're going to get an error for, I don't know why because we haven't finished setting up the name field yet. So don't worry about that. But we had to compile it in order to get access. So go ahead and pull off this one and do remove HUD right there. Select that one. Plug that in. All right. And we're also going to need another variable here. We need to call this NPC and set it into references category. And of course, this is going to have to be the NPC blueprint reference right there. Okay, so go ahead and pull this one out now. Let's get it. And remember, back on the NPC, we got the function display HUD. All right. It asks for an actor. The actor is actually the NPC himself. We just compare against him that this NPC that we're passing through belongs to this HUD. All right, so now we pretty much need to do the same thing over here. Grab the proxy and do remove HUD. Yeah, we got that in there. So plug that in here into the is valid. Put that up right there. And really, it's got a display HUD function as well, and we're going to have to pass through the same thing. So let's just go ahead and plug that straight in there. So all we're doing is making sure that these checks ensure that if we're in the building HUD, then this one runs. If we're in the proxy HUD, then this one runs. Okay, so compile that and save it. Let's go back into the building HUD, and let me see, is that what we need to do there? Yeah, that was it for the button. The button field. Yeah, so that's all we had to do for the button field. So now when we click it, it's just going to call these functions right there. Okay, so back in the building HUD, let's go ahead and select this and do button field. Okay, now those variables we exposed right there are right there. So now we need to open up the cheat sheet so I can check, see what's going on. All right, the occupant needs to go into, we didn't expose that button field. We need to expose this editable and expose it on spawn, compile it, and then we jump back in here. Now we got that exposed. Drop in the NPC. All right. And for the building HUD, right click and do self. We'll worry about the proxy later. That's going to be set up when we go back into the proxy HUD, right? So, but we're just in the building HUD right now, so that's what we get. Pull off occupants again and do get just do profile, get my profile right there. Break this out, and we've got the name that we set up right there. So create a new variable over here. We'll call this one occupant name, and let's just go ahead and select this and make it text. So go ahead and Alt and drag that in so we can set it. And we want to set it to the name. It's going to convert it to text for us. All right. And then plug. Oh, nope, I did that wrong. Delete that. Delete that. Back in the building field. New variable. Let's call this one occupant name. All right. And that's got to be, what did I do? Let me see. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm just threw myself off right there. So occupant name, this will be text. Grab that, compile it, and save it. And building HUD. Now we got that. So now let's grab off our widget right here and do occupant name. We want to set it like so. Now plug that in right there. And then we need to grab our four names which is the vertical box. All right, now we need to add child to it. And the child that we want to add will be the button that we just created. Okay, so now it's going to, for every, right there. So for every occupant that we have in a building, it's going to create a new widget for it, and it's going to add it as a child to the for names vertical box that we have in there. Okay, and then that's it. So right click, do return node, drag and drop that in there. So now that should be straight. So we can test this. The proxy is obviously not done yet, but we can compile and save that. Now we should be able to go into here, cross my fingers that I got everything right. And let's drop in a couple NPC. And there we go. Well, it doesn't show their name for whatever reason. It's just showing text block. And why isn't it showing their name? And the reason why it's not showing their name is because we need to go back into the button field, go into the designer, select our text, make sure that the text is selected right there. And for the text, we need to bind this to occupant name. All right, now it will show the occupant name right there. All right, go back into the building HUD. There is one other thing that we can do in here while we're here. Get building name. We got building name right there. Oh, yes. Let's go into the designer where it says people right here. We need to bind this to another, property right there, and open up my cheat sheet here. And what we need to bind this to, actually, we don't have to set anything special up for this. Grab this, scroll down here to the building reference, because we have over here in the graph, we've got a reference to the building right here. Okay, so come down here, building reference. Now we have access to all the properties in that, which is the building struct, and off of that, the building name, building reference. We've got all that, building struct, building name. What am I doing? Building name. Oh, yeah, we'll worry about that in a minute. We'll change that name in a minute. We actually have to go back and change our struct for that. So real quick, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and wrap this episode up. We're about 35 minutes into it. We've got that. Let's go ahead, since we fixed that showing the name, let's go ahead and press play. Drop in a couple here. And there we go. So we can select that one, select that one, and perfect. So yeah, that's working. I don't know why there's a space in there. Oh, because it's centered up. What we need to do, we can actually go back in here real quick and change this on the horizontal box. I think that's where it was at. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, you can justify that. You can figure out which way you want the text to go. You could see in that last one that it was kind of a crooked. So anyways, sorry, a little baffled in this episode. Didn't have any bugs really, so it all worked out pretty good. So yeah, let's go ahead and wrap this one up, and hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor, go down and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe while you're down there liking it. And until next time, peace.